You should not be buying a new construction home in 2023, especially if you're going to be moving to the area. Now, I know there are definitely some benefits to new construction, but there's also a lot of reasons why I think it would be a good idea to completely avoid it in 2023. So stick around. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. And I know this is crazy because here I am telling you not to buy new construction when I've actually told you before that I think new construction is a good opportunity. And I still think that there are some good opportunities in new construction. I think they're very limited and very specific. So you definitely need to know what you're looking out for. Now, if you're moving to the area, I think there's a lot more reasons why you should avoid new construction than buy new construction. Now, if you haven't seen that video about where I think those opportunities are, I'll link it up right here so you guys can watch that later, and I'll kind of wrap everything up at the end. Make sure you stick around till the end so at least you know everything to look out for and what you need to avoid when you're moving to the area. So let's get to it.
Woohoo!
When you're moving, you usually have some type of timeline or parameter that you have to meet. So if you're moving for a job, or maybe you're just relocating and you have a family and you're trying to do it while the kids are out of school, whether that's over, a Christmas break or a summer vacation, there's typically some type of timeline and deadline that you need to try to meet. And I know sometimes that will come with maybe a temporary housing allowance, and other times it doesn't. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why new construction is gonna make a relocation extremely difficult. Now, in 2022, we saw lots and lots of new construction homes across all different communities and all different builders get delayed for various reasons. And a lot of these delays are outside of the control of the builder. And I'm talking delays, not just days or weeks, I'm talking months, like 3, even 4 months.
What?
Just imagine you're moving to an area and you have a deadline, and that deadline keeps getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and finally 4 months later, you're able to take possession of your home. Now, depending on who you are and what your circumstance is, that process is going to look a little bit different for everybody. If that's not a pain point for you, then you can probably still look at new construction. But if that is something that you would have a very negative effect on your life, then yeah, I think you need to avoid new construction. My one caveat to that would be, obviously, if you found something that is considered a quick move-in, meaning that the property is ready to go, it's move-in ready, you could move in it tomorrow, then yeah, you could look at it. Otherwise, I think you should avoid it just due to timelines and delays. And so when we're looking at delays, we're talking about things like electrical meter boxes aren't being installed by the power company because I don't know if they can't get the meter boxes, or if they're just so backed up on workforce that it's taking them that long to get these installations done. So there's some pretty significant things that would actually prevent you from closing on a home that are just completely out of your control, and quite frankly, it's out of the builder's control. The other thing that it's not as common, but we were starting to see it, I don't know if we'll continue to see it into 2023, just because it's not really a favorable thing that some of the builders are putting in their contract, but it's basically an escalation clause for materials, meaning that like if they budget $30,000 for a truss package for a roof, and that actual cost comes in a certain percentage higher than that when they actually go to order it, that clause says that the builder can adjust the price of your home upwards to account for that, which is, that's not good for anybody. So having that extended timeline, there's too much uncertainty that can happen within there. If you have a specific timeline that you have to meet, then I think you should avoid that. Obviously, the other thing that the delayed timeline messes with is interest rate. Now, of course, there's lots of incentives out there. They're offering extended rate locks and even interest rate buy downs that are they're really good interest rates. If you're looking at new construction, you need to make sure you're getting an interest rate that is below market, because there's enough incentives and programs out there for you to take advantage of that if the builder doesn't offer that, there's probably somebody else who does. But back to interest rate, if you extend your interest rate and you're given a rate lock and that home is pushed out past that rate lock period, there is a possibility that lender, whether that's the builder's lender or not, may try to charge you an additional fee to extend that rate lock. Now, obviously, we can always try to negotiate those and get those waived, which we've actually had success doing this year. So if you are looking at new construction, reach out. We'd love to help you with that. But those are things they're not a guarantee, and it's definitely a pain point, and it can cause a lot of stress. So I don't think that buying new construction, unless it's ready to go, is going to be a good idea if you are on a timeline. The other thing to consider, and a lot of people don't, and I'll kind of give you, maybe preface it with, how long do you plan on living in this home? Is this let me get to this new area, put some roots down, maybe build a little equity and move up within a few years? Might not be the best option. Now, if you plan on staying there for an extended period of time, maybe better suited for you. But the reality is if you're getting into a new construction community, not necessarily a new construction home, but a community that's got a lot of new construction, you've got to realize that you're going to be living in and around all this construction until that's done. So if you're buying early on in a community, yes, there's going to be a lot of good incentives, but you're also going to be living in that construction and around that construction until the community's done.
It's far too noisy.
So, buying at the end of a community, like a closeout of a community, or even the closeout of a phase, kind of gets you in a position where at least you're not dealing with that construction for an extended period of time. So that would be my one caveat, is finding something that's kind of in that closeout phase will help you avoid all that construction. Now, if you do decide that you are, potentially gonna sell, because there's a lot of people say, hey, buy new construction because it's instant equity. In a lot of cases, it is, because if you are contracting a home today that's going to be complete in 12 months, well, you're contracting it based on today's market value. And normally, as real estate appreciates, it goes up in value. Well, with the way the market is transitioning right now, and I would say it's, I don't think the market's going to crash. I think we're going through an adjustment period. It's going through a correction, which was long overdue, and we're getting to a point of stabilization. How long is that going to take? Who knows? It could take a year, it could take 4 years. I really don't know. But my point is as we're going through that, the perceived equity that you're going to have in this home, I think is going to be mostly limited by the builder and what the builder does. So if the builder still has 3/4 of a community to build out, obviously they want to keep moving inventory, and they're going to do everything in their power to avoid price reductions. They are, I think, going to lean more towards incentives and using that to really sell homes and kind of drive buyer activity in areas where maybe they have inventory and they're trying to close out. But if you're gonna sell a home that you've previously lived in, number one, you've lived in it, so it's going to have some wear and tear. It's not gonna be considered new. Number two, you're gonna be competing with everything that the builder is offering from an incentive standpoint. The biggest thing you would have going for you is if you were in a community or a phase where the builder had no inventory, and now you could offer something to a buyer that they can't get anywhere else. But the reality is if they still have homes in inventory or a lot of homes in the inventory pipeline and they're offering lots of incentives, you're gonna be competing with that until it's closed out. And I really think that is going to cap, I don't want to say your equity, but what you're going to be able to do with your equity, if that makes sense.
Perhaps you're right.
So just keep that in mind. I think buying new construction is a good opportunity if you're moving to the area and you find quick move-ins with lots of incentives where you can get a lower than market interest rate and potentially even the option to refinance with the builder's preferred lender at no cost within a couple years. And if you haven't seen that yet, I'll put that video up here again. That is all the opportunities that I see for 2023. If you guys thought this was helpful, make sure you subscribe to the channel right here. Watch this video next, and I'll see you next time.